me zip it up for you. Come over here. Arthur, come here.
I don't.
All right, coming at you this week, we got 4 reasons why parenting in 2020 is very hard.
Yeah, 2020.
2020. But first, we got to get some donuts.
I got the donuts.
Hi, my name is Timothy Sands, and this is Fashionable Father. If you're one of the lucky first 200 subscribers, welcome back. And if you're new here, subscribe if you're so inclined. Now, before you leave, because you think, why are you complaining about how hard it is to parent? Let me just explain. I wanted to make this video about how I was comparing my growing up to how he is growing up, and how different it is, and how it can actually be a lot more difficult in this modern era, even though things have gotten that much more modern. And this right here is the #1 reason.
Yeah, Riffy.
Child safety seats.
Yeah,
Actually, safety seats in general.
I'm Riffy.
So yeah, when I was growing up, we just jumped in the back of a car. We were lucky to even have a seatbelt on. And do you remember getting in the back of pickups? Like, that was a thing. You just rode in the back of a pickup. It's nuts. But this adds time. Don't get me wrong. I think safety regulations and having a child safety seat in a car is an absolute necessity, of course. But this all adds time. Alright. What do we got? We got little donuts? I was thinking it's about time to sit down and do a little donuts and Arthur and Dad. If you're like me, you might have grown up in the 80s or even the 90s. And during that time, things have changed a lot. And I think even the gap has widened even more. Now, let me explain. So something dawned on me about 5 years ago at the bar. Someone was talking to me and he said, yeah, my daughter asked me, so when did you get your first iPhone, Dad? And he was going like 10 years ago. And that made me start to think that how much the gap between generations has widened, like the differences. Let me explain even further. I grew up with a newspaper. My dad grew up with a newspaper. I grew up with the television. My dad grew up with a very similar television. Mine was color, his was black and white. I grew up with a phone on the wall. My dad grew up with a phone on the wall. The differences between me and my dad aren't huge, but the differences between me and him are ridiculously huge. Like, he thinks a phone is a computer we put in our pocket. He thinks TV is YouTube that you can watch on any device that you want. So things have changed dramatically in the past few years, and the gap has widened. Brings me to #2 on the list, and that is the huge change in the parenting roles, and especially with the moms, right? Because moms are now expected to do like triple what they were expected to do in the 80s. When I was growing up, my mom stayed at home until I think I was in middle school. And she took care of us, and it was fantastic. So now moms are expected to be not just perfect moms, but perfect wives, while being a perfect employee. The dad role has completely changed because we, and I kind of still feel like this, we still want to be the provider, because that's where our value is, because we're not exactly nesting with our children at home. And that's the other rub, is we are at home expected to do more with our children and be more father figures at home, and we still believe we have to be providers. And on top of that, we deal with the whole aspect of having to compete in a workforce that now has a whole nother gender involved, which is women, right? Which is not a bad thing, that's an amazing thing. But it truly does have an impact on the challenge of what you are as a father and what role you play. And as a dad, I want to be there for him too. But again, I still perceive in my head that the value of me is providing for my family. So that brings me to the third reason why parenting in 2020 can be so difficult. And that is, let's just be honest, the cost of things. When I was growing up, I went to preschool for free. You have to have an investment plan for college now. You better sit down and figure out how much you're investing just to put your kid into college. Buying a home, especially if you're in a major market like we are in LA, it's unheard of. It is completely unheard of. And that goes back to why we have to have a double income in this house. Because you have to have a double income just to survive, let alone. What are you doing? Keep eating your donut, you wild man. He has grown so much since we first did this. Fourth reason is you're less likely to be close to family. So this is something we've obviously encountered completely because we're out here in Los Angeles without our family close by. And that is definitely a choice we made. But I can see this in many families that I talk to and many families that were in this new era out to seek opportunity, out to seek better places to live or just different places to live, and they didn't want to stay where they were. And that is definitely a mindset, I feel like a modern mindset that we didn't have as much. Now it's very, very affordable to get on an airplane and move away from people because you're like, oh, it's just an airplane ride home. Huge impact on trying to raise your child and obviously makes it that much harder. Thus, my conclusion to this whole thing, I'm not here to say, oh, poor me, that we have it really hard, that generations before us didn't have their difficulties. I'm just saying, if you're in the thick of it and things are kind of stressing you out and you wonder why things are so expensive or difficult, I'm just here to say, don't stress it, that you are enough, that you're doing, don't stress it, right? That you're doing enough, that you're handling everything you can handle. And like, if you do not have a home in a major market, you're fine. You're fine. You don't have to be If you're supporting your family and they're getting by and your kid is smiling 90% of the time and he's happy, safe, and healthy, you're doing enough. Your kid is not excelling or is a savant on the piano or is in, getting straight A's or whatever it is that you think that you kind of feel like you're lacking, you're enough. And especially in a day and age where we've made things pretty difficult on ourselves, right? And let's work on making them easier, right? Simplify. And whatever you do, do not compare yourself to other people on social media or anything out there that you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough. Especially when you get on Instagram or Facebook and everybody seems very happy and everything's put together. Obviously, I am one to blame on that. I present a very edited show for you where everything is glorious and easy and, oh yeah, look how cute my kid is. You don't see behind the scenes. I don't really want to show you behind the scenes. So do not compare yourself to any other family. You're doing your thing. You are enough. So my name is Timothy Sands. This is Fashionable Father. Please like this video if you got any value, if it helped you out at all. And subscribe if you're so inclined. We have videos about fashion. We have videos about fatherhood. We have videos about donuts. You know what I'm saying? And always remember, style first.
Style first.
That's my boy. And what else? You want to do it? You want to do it? Ready? Mwah!
Mwah.
No, let's do it again, right? All right, and see you on the flip side. Mwah!
Mwah.
Oh, you